This is Victor Conte, the founder of the SNAC system and the creator of the product called ZMA. I developed this back in the 1990s, and we did a study in the late 1990s that involved Dr. Lori Brilla, who is a fairly famous researcher in the area of minerals and trace elements from Western Washington University. And when the results were published, it created quite a stir in the sports nutrition industry. And then thereafter, a little bit later, in 2004, another study was done on a similar product, but not exact, but did contain ZMA, and there were contradictory findings. And I've been waiting a long time to talk about this issue and all of the controversy that's out there about, the original ZMA study. And recently, a paper was written by Jeff Feliciano. He worked for many years for the Weeder Research Group, and he wrote this article that is now posted on the SNAC system website, snac.com. It's called "The Truth About the Original ZMA Research." And the original study was entitled "Effects of a Novel Zinc Magnesium Formulation on Hormones and Strength," and it was published in the Journal of Exercise Physiology in the year 2000. And this study found that not only did it help to replete the zinc and magnesium levels and normalize them, but also had an effect in terms of increasing the anabolic hormones such as testosterone and growth hormone. And so many companies picked this up and began to run these full-page ads in all the magazines, and it was immediately being distributed, on a worldwide basis, and here in the United States in stores like GNC and others. And then this other study came out that was conducted by a group at the Baylor University lab by Dr. Richard Kreider et al., and they did not find the same results. They found some positive trends, but they didn't see that any of the anabolic markers were increased, and so this contradiction created this controversy. Now, I've known all this time that the basic reason for the difference in the findings was a serious flaw in the experimental design of the Kreider study. And what they did in this formula, it was called ZMAS PM, that came out probably a bit before 2004, is they added some additional herb, specifically mucunapurines and some other, which is a seed extract that they get L-DOPA from, that would have a positive effect upon these anabolic markers. But what they failed to realize and disclose is that phytates or phytic acid significantly inhibit the absorption and uptake and utilization of both zinc and magnesium. And so these were not the same two products. They should not even be compared. An example would be to have somebody run the 100 meters with the assistance of using ZMA, and then put 5-pound ankle weights on each foot, which is the addition of, let's see, it had 706 milligrams of mucunapurines and another suma root herb extract. And later, a PhD named Douglas Kalman wrote an article about the comparison of these two studies, and he determined that even 4 milligrams, and the amount that was in there, I think he calculated to have 5 point something milligrams of phytates or phytic acid, but the calculation was that this would inhibit the absorption of zinc and magnesium by at least 20%. So why these researchers did not disclose this, they may not have understood mineral and trace element absorption, and realized that cereals and grains and seed extracts and other food sources that contain phytic acid will significantly inhibit these intrinsic minerals that you're buying the product for, the zinc, magnesium, aspartate. So a lot of people came out and talked about this conflict and said that because I was involved in, or SNAC was involved in funding this research that Dr. Brilla did independently up at Western Washington University, 1,500 miles away from the San Francisco Bay Area where SNAC is located. They just didn't understand that these were two separate formulas and you really can't compare them. And therefore, this caused all sorts of controversy. And since then, other products have come out. There are quite a few that do contain the trademark ZMA material, but then they add all sorts of other ingredients with them, and some of these are what they call anti-nutrients. You can't just throw everything into the kitchen sink. You just can't randomly take these ingredients, or if zinc will help to prevent low testosterone and magnesium and another seed extract will help to boost these, you have these antagonistic interactions, and one can significantly affect the effects of the other. So why this was not disclosed, I don't know, but this particular study, let's go back and repeat the name of this. It was at the Baylor University lab in Texas is where they conducted this. But also, in addition to this, they found positive trends in this other study. It was just not as clinically significant as they phrased it, like the ZMA study. So one additional thing that consumers of ZMA products need to understand is that there are other of these herbal extracts or seed extracts, and one of them that's out there now being promoted as a so-called testosterone booster is something called fenugreek. Fenugreek also contains phytates or phytic acid. So when you see these formulas that have fenugreek and ZMA and even magnesium together, you got to understand that it's not going to have the same effects, because once again, it's like putting ankle weights on a runner and then wondering why the runner is running slower than he did without the ankle weights. Something else that's important to understand is that in terms of the zinc L-monomethionine, the particular form of ZMA that's contained in ZMA, there are other types of zinc out there. Specifically, when you see it says zinc monomethionine, there are two forms. One contains two isomers, D and L, and the other has an additional process where they extract the D, and the L is the form that's bioavailable and has the effect. And in fact, the D inhibits the effect of the L form of monomethionine. So it costs probably 1/3 the amount of the zinc monomethionine contained in ZMA, but it has a much significantly less effect. So when you need to look at the label on some of these products, and if you just see that it says zinc monomethionine, they're just not disclosing that it contains both of these isomers, and the activity is far less than it is with the zinc L monomethionine. So what else here? Go to the SNAC website and look at this article that Jeff Feliciano wrote. It's got more details. They talk about the specific effects of these anabolic markers and muscle strength and many other reasons that ZMA is effective at helping with these anabolic markers. One of the things that he also mentions is you have the catabolic hormone called cortisol. And they also call this the stress hormone. But this will cause a reduction in the anabolic gains that you make. And even he notes that Dr. Brilla in the study, the ZMA study, she said we did not, test for cortisol, but that's something that should be included in future studies involving ZMA. Now, it's important, and he also references that independent studies of both zinc and magnesium have shown that cortisol is significantly lowered by both zinc and magnesium. So I think one of them was a very high, I think zinc had lowered it by something like 59%. But the point is that it increases the anabolic hormone profile, and it decreases cortisol, or the catabolic hormone. In closing here, there's an interesting quote, the product by Jim Stoppani called Jim ZMA, and that's his specific formulation, but it does contain ZMA. He's advising consumers here that an easy way to ensure that a product uses real ZMA is to look for the SNAC system trademark on the bottle ZMA. Anything else is an imposter. So many of the PhDs and masters, people out there that have written comments and challenged the original ZMA research, I suggest that you read Jeff Feliciano's paper, that an article that's on the SNAC website, and look at those a little more carefully and scrutinize the results of the other study that came out in 2004 from the Kreider lab, where he points out that there's serious flaws with the experimental design. And hope this provides some much needed clarification. This has been about 20 years now since I introduced ZMA to the sport nutrition market. It's become one of the best-selling products in all of sports nutrition history, and hope that this clarifies this issue, and that people learn to understand this concept that, once again, they call anti-nutrients, that there are ingredients in these products that inhibit the absorption and utilization of each other, and you have to learn about this. But in short, any of these seed extracts, and specifically products called Z this or Z that, the copycat imitation zinc products, a lot of them do not contain the L form of monomethionine. They contain the form that has both isomers, D and L. And to avoid products, or take them at different times, that contain mucinopurines or fenugreek or some of these other herbal extracts, because you're not going to maximize the benefits from taking the authentic ZMA if you add these other ingredients. So hopefully this has been helpful, and best wishes from everybody at the SNAC family.